This 1913 diagram from the Evansville Journal maps a Monticello law office. It illustrates the secret room where Adelaide Branch lived in voluntary confinement for 3 years, discovered only when lawyer Melvin Couch died suddenly of a heart attack in her arms. The Hearst newspaper empire seized on the details, transforming her sequestered life into a national spectacle. Reporters labeled her a slave and a hidden woman, prioritizing sensationalism over the reality of her agency to sell papers across the country. Because the press lost interest after early 1914, Adelaide Branch appeared to have vanished from the historical record. Historians often stop looking once the headlines fade, effectively scrubbing a life from the record through simple neglect. Public actions like elections or lawsuits create a paper trail. The private labor typically performed by women rarely does. Her descent into obscurity highlights the precarious reality of the early 20th century. For a single woman living outside the traditional nuclear family, losing a professional career meant losing her place in the social order. Recovering her timeline began at this unmarked burial plot in Valhalla, New York. The records for Kensico Cemetery document the death of Mary Adelaide Branch Douglas in 1948, providing a definitive endpoint for a life previously thought lost. That gravesite led researchers to a 1942 case file from the Jarvie Commonwealth Service. The Jarvie Service is a private philanthropic organization established to provide financial assistance to elderly, self-supporting individuals who had fallen into poverty. Documents like this form accidental archives. These are records created for administrative, legal, or financial reasons entirely unrelated to preserving a person's legacy, yet they inadvertently capture the factual reality of marginalized lives. To connect these fragmented pieces of evidence, researchers applied the genealogical proof standard. The Genealogical Proof Standard, or GPS, is a rigorous analytical framework used to verify identity across conflicting or incomplete historical documents by requiring exhaustive research and precise source citation. Using these tools, biographer Tom Rue set out to reconstruct her timeline. The objective is to look past the Hearst Syndicate's caricatures and restore the human texture to her erased years. This historical photograph and text document the Branch tailor shop and family home in the rural village of Hartwick, New York, where Adelaide was born in 1873. Her father, William H. Branch, operated this tailoring establishment and served as the town's supervisor, holding a position of significant local influence. Her brother Herbert later became the Hartwick postmaster, operating the post office directly out of the same family building and anchoring the family's civic standing. This ancestry family group sheet aggregates her earliest official documentation, locating 1-year-old Mary A. Branch in the 1875 New York State Census. The 1880 federal census tracks her progression, firmly rooting her early development in the Otsego County community. Local newspaper clippings from 1888 show a 14-year-old Addie Branch winning a $5 gold scholarship prize for the best academic record in the higher department of her school. That early brilliance established an intellectual identity that she would maintain for the rest of her life, even when economic barriers eventually forced that identity out of public view. This 1893 application for the State Normal and Training School at Oswego was submitted by a 20-year-old ADELAIDE M. Branch. A normal school specifically trains high school graduates to be teachers in the norms of pedagogy. In her own handwriting, she signed a binding statement, obligating herself to teach in the public schools of New York State in exchange for receiving free tuition. This photograph captures the grueling physical conditions of the Oswego Normal School. Students attended classes in freezing fresh air environments, wrapped tightly in heavy blankets. After securing her credentials, she began teaching in the district of Hinman Hollow. During this period, she boarded at the farm of the Delos Salisbury family. Her career in the classroom ended prematurely in 1896. A severe case of pneumonia forced her out of the harsh schoolhouse environments and derailed her professional trajectory. This 1911 newspaper obituary records the death of her former landlord, Delos Salisbury, from tuberculosis. Salisbury's death highlights the persistent physical threats of the era. Adelaide's early professional success was continually undermined by communicable diseases and the economic instability that accompanied chronic illness. Unable to maintain a classroom schedule, she pivoted to itinerant labor. This 1999 column from the Winona Daily Star places Addie Branch on the road, traveling between towns to canvass and sell books door to door. It was during this subscription work that she met Melvin Couch. In 1909, a devastating fire swept through Monticello, destroying large sections of the town and heavily damaging Couch's property. Couch suffered a severe physical injury during the blaze. His condition required intensive, specialized wound care that he chose to manage privately rather than entering a hospital. The 3 years she spent in the Masonic Building office allowed her to provide Couch with the intensive, daily medical care his injuries required. Maintaining this secrecy protected both his professional reputation and her own social standing. Following his sudden death and the resulting media frenzy in 1914, she legally changed her name to Mary Douglas. This was a calculated move to sever herself from the hidden woman label and regain her autonomy. The secret room was an improvisation born of necessity. It was a mechanism for a single woman to provide care to a married man without facing total social and economic ruin. Operating as Mary Douglas, she spent her final decades in Manhattan. She leveraged her education to work as an independent contractor, typing manuscripts and conducting research for academics at Columbia University. Despite her steady labor, she fell into poverty as her health declined. Because she was a self-employed, independent contractor, she was entirely excluded from the protections of the original Social Security Act. Without federal support, her survival required reliance on private philanthropy. She subjected herself to the invasive vetting processes of the Jarvie Commonweal Service, proving her deservingness to maintain a minimal stipend. She maintained correspondence with high-profile progressive-era figures, including the author Upton Sinclair, who offered friendship and occasional financial aid. But elite connections and a college education could not override the structural reality of the 1930s. The pre-New Deal welfare system was built on selective charity, offering almost no protection for a working woman living outside a nuclear family. Adelaide Branch's story is an open case file. The documentary evidence proves she existed, but the physical artifacts, her face, her letters, her personal effects, are still missing. We need your help to find them. The primary geographical areas of interest are Hartwick, Hinman Hollow, and Oswego, New York. If you are a descendant of the Branch family, or specifically her brother Herbert Branch, we are asking you to search your family scrapbooks and attics for unidentified photographs or correspondence. Historical photographs like this 1916 shot of Oswego normal school students in a workshop show the type of institutional ephemera we are looking for. Any class photographs or directories from Oswego between 1893 and 1896 could contain her likeness. If you locate any material or recognize her story in your own family's history, please direct your findings to tomrue.net. Rescuing marginalized lives requires diving into local archives and family memories. The headlines only tell the story that sold papers. The real history lives in the attics and scrapbooks that haven't been opened in a century.